I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address, and now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. Just fighting in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah.
You have your doors locked?
It's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
Oh, that scream at the end wakes me up every time. So I want to point out the obvious here. Mark, Alexa got a heart. Me and Adam got fire.
Well, who can resist this? Well, there's few that don't like.
It just happened.
Most of them can resist this.
It wasn't even hi, Sonny and Adam. It was hi, Alexa, heart.
Well, considering we don't know Mark that well,
yeah,
I'd rather take the fact that we're hot rather than the I love you.
I love you.
Yeah. We're fine.
Anybody can be hot, but you don't love anybody.
Well, Ivy Rose has a sexy avatar there. Does that count for anybody? Right, Ivy?
The older I get, the more I would like the fire.
Yeah.
Right. I'll take it at 41.
I was ready to take a nap is what I was ready to do. Yeah. So you guys all know that the Drunk Turkey Show was just live and they just finished theirs and most of us were in there watching and there was a great turnout there. There was like over 1,400 in chat. Wow. I got to play with my new wrench that Daniel gave me. And it was a great Idaho live. And me and Adam are discussing if we're going to do an Idaho because there was a bunch of Idaho news that came out today. But this topic today, of course, is about the CSAM and, of course, Kagan Klein. And Ivy has been working, of course, hard.
Very hard.
Yeah, extremely hard.
I don't know about all that, but
the hardest.
I can't top that. Sorry, Adam. But no, so Ivy's been working hard at gathering a spreadsheet together. And, she's, you know what, Ivy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome. Show's over now. No, just kidding. It's all about Alexa right now.
I'm pretty sure that I'm on a watch list by now.
Are you?
Probably.
But yeah, my internet, my browser history.
I was going to say it's probably not looking so pretty at this moment, is it?
No, but
browser history. So Alexa, thank you for joining as well. Again, this is about cases that happened prior to and after Kagan Klein's arrest. And it doesn't mean that they all intertwine, but we all know that the Kagan Klein arrest was the CSAM ring was the largest in Indiana because of his phone. Okay. Now, if anyone, of course, doesn't remember, it was because of the supposed whatever ski mask incident that we've never ever factually proven, but it was said that it was because of that incident and that the Anthony Shots account, hi Famously Unfamous. Good. I watched those two of your videos today. You guys in chat right now too is Famously Unfamous. I always get that wrong.
Hey, Famously.
Yeah. And Famously Unfamous, he does like live streams from within Indiana there. And he covers a lot of the, what do you want to say? Different scanners that are going off in a sense. Like today there was a vehicle literally went, I don't know how they did it, but anyways, went into this meter thing and then into the side of a house. Yeah, into the side of a house.
Wow.
Like the yard is kind of like the house is kind of like on a busy freeway, and it literally crashed into the side of the person's house and garage. And then of course he did he was showing this cat, what do you want to call it? Like a little cat village beside this Chinese restaurant or whatever. So, anyways, he does a lot of, like I said, live coverage, following things as they come along throughout in certain parts of Indiana. And so check him out. And plus, Famously Unfamous, he was the one that provided us with all the Wabash footage going on with the Kagan Klein Wabash River search. So always appreciation and love for him doing that, of course, for us. That was always like, no expectation. He just wanted to, he lived out that way and wanted to share that coverage. And it was great, great coverage for us that we got to kind of keep updated on what was going on daily. So that was always awesome. So welcome, of course, Famously Unfamous. And so we'll just do some shout outs here. Adam, do you want to do those? You want me to?
Let me.
I can do it.
Sure. I'll let you. I don't have the thing pulled up.
No problem. Okay, well, let's go. Say hey, Kyle. So Kyle was the first one in house. Triple D's there, Mustangs in the house, Deb's True Crime Notebooks in the house. Of course, if you're not subscribed to Deb, she always drop her link throughout the live as well. Metal Michelle Mama, Metal Michelle,
Hey,
I miss
Michelle.
you. You know that. It's been a long time, girl. I love you, miss you, and again, prayers to you and your issues that are going on right now. Austin, hello.
Hey, Austin.
Tom Baker gets one of those. Mark, hello, Mark. Hello, chat. Hey, Shelly. Hey, Rob Lee. Caesar's in the house. Jill Moser's in the house. Alexa, of course. Nice color on you, Alexa.
I recognize her.
I kind of know her. She just kind of trolls along in, doesn't she? Yeah. Or maybe she's invited sometimes. And let's see here. Fibro's in the house. Hey, Fibro. Obviously, I'm in the house. And CJK, George is in the house. Too Much Mom's in the house. TTM. And just scrolling. There's Famously Unfamous. So again, go subscribe to his channel. Like I said, he covers a lot of live footage. You know how like Ikmel is watching like car chases and stuff. Well, like I said, Famously Unfamous is like whether it's fires, whatever's kind of going on the scanner that night, and some of them are, all really good actually.
Yes.
I shouldn't say some of them. I just mean like there's ones that you're like, ooh, like there was a car accident one recently that was, pretty. I'm not sure if the person lived or not. It was like, it was like the car was ruined. But you have to wonder if the person actually wound up alive or not on that one. Still, okay. Mandy, hi Mandy, how are you? Boom, 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 boom. And then Streamlabs is in the house. Okay. So you guys, if you guys could always, of course, hit that like and share, that's always nice. If you guys could do that for us. Okie dokie. So Ivy, they passed away. Okay. Yeah, that was a horrific wreck.
So sad.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking alone.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like when you go live, people start messaging you immediately. I'm like,
Yep.
Leave me alone.
Yep, I made that comment before too.
Sorry.
All of a sudden, my twin sister would message me or whatever, that normally doesn't message me, or people message me that normally don't as well. And I'm just like, really? You guys like, how it's one of those things. Audrey Craig, hello, great show as always. Love from Kentucky.
Thank you.
Thanks, Metal Michelle Mama. Okay, so Ivy, let's get into it. Again, we're covering the CSAM with Kagan Klein, and just give everyone, and let me bring it up actually, your spreadsheet.
Right.
As I'm doing that, just start talking about.
Can I just ask you a question before we start? What are the years? Because you guys said prior to KK's arrest and after. So what are the years that we're talking about? How many years before?
I didn't focus that much on the years. I think when I first started doing it, I think it was after 2020. And then I kind of started looking before that. I want to say the earliest one on the spreadsheet's 2017, but then it kind of jumps to like 2020, I think.
So the earliest is 2017. Okay.
Unfortunately, there are just so many that it would take forever to get them all. And then that wouldn't even be all of them. That's just the ones that happen to have news stories on them.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So probably over the summer, maybe before over the summer, probably getting close to a year to when I very first started doing this. And I can't remember exactly what made me start doing it, but I started Googling to see if I could find other CSAM cases based on the statement from the police to Kagan that his case had led to like the largest CSAM ring in state history. And let me get back up to this page. This is actually from the transcript from the interrogation. It says, let's see. One of the police says, we no inaudible are people that communicated with you or shared images through your Dropbox link. We started looking at those people and it just freaking spirals out of control to this major CSAM ring. So that was the statement in there. And then they talk about it in another place too. But that's how I started. And then, and I'm going to have to be very careful with my words today.
Yes.
There's lots of
Yeah.
words. So then when I started searching
The
them
bad
and
word.
reading articles about these people who had been arrested in that time frame, I started kind of seeing a pattern that piqued my interest. And the pattern was with CSAM so with CSAM charges, you have exploitation and you have possession. And possession is what it sounds like, just possessing. And then exploitation, I think, is more like you're sending and receiving. So you're kind of exploiting it for your gain, I guess is how you could think of it. And for both of those, they're both felonies, but in order to have them be even more serious felonies, it's like the next level up, basically. They have to have aggravated added on to them. And the way that you get that added on is there's a list of like 5 or 6 things that can make it aggravated. And I know one of those things is one of the victims in the videos are under 12 years old. There's one that involves animals. And there's one that uses force to get the victim to do what they're wanting them to do. So those are the 3 that are.
Uses what?
I'm sorry, what?
You said uses what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that part.
Uses force.
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 I was trying to think the other, because I want to say there's 2 listed under the aggravated that basically are the same thing, but I can't think of the other word they use. Or cause injury, I think maybe is the other one. So those are the 3 that are going to apply today that take it from a regular charge to an aggravated charge. And let's see. So and I meant to find this before I got on here and I didn't. I always forget how long this PDF is of Kagan's interrogation. So, well, let me go back. Sorry, I got off track. So when I was looking all these up, I noticed a pattern. And one of the things was that a lot of the charges that were in these articles included an aggravated charge that had to do with the animals part of it. And before I started looking in this, I was like, that can't be that common, surely. Well, they kept coming up and they kept coming up. And so then also the under 12 would come up. And sometimes you would also see like a social media thing or a Dropbox thing. So I started thinking, what if all of these people, even though they may not be connected as in they arrested this person, which led them to this person, which led to them to this person, even if they're not connected like that, what if they are all sharing the same basic media? And that's why all their charges are so similar. So that's how the rabbit hole started. So I went down that rabbit hole and I just kind of started searching things on and off and came up with a list. There's still a bunch out there, but it would take a long time. And I'm thinking that even though we can't prove it, I don't think we'd ever be able to prove it without having all of the information. We're not looking so much at were these people arrested as a directly from Kagan's investigation? Partly that, but then also is it likely that they were part of the group that he was interacting with at the time and sharing things with? Because in that in the interrogation, then also in the affidavit, he's sharing stuff with people on Kik and talking back and forth, and at least part of the time like using an alias that's a girl's name. So that's how this all kind of started. Does that tell the whole story that I told you earlier?
I believe so, yeah.
Tell you
Is
about
there
anything?
anything? Jenny, you're
Okay.
muted.
Right, it's only because when that thing went off, I forgot I muted it. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I said I believe it covers everything. Is there anything that she said earlier that she didn't say as far as kind of how she came across this stuff?
No, just really wanted her to give everyone like a basis of exactly the spreadsheet, what she was doing, and how, like, is that, I mean, obviously, as you can see, we have name, town, county, tip, social media presence, cloud if they'd used a Dropbox, or under 12, and then that animal word, or the bond word, and then like I said, she has, I know it's not quite showing there because it's a big spreadsheet, but summary, links, exploitation there.
Right.
So, it's really just because of, I mean, we're obviously not going to know who truly is connected here, but we do know that, whoops, sorry guys, we do know that there's a lot of, that this is the largest Indiana ring. Okay. So some of these are probably going to fall well within that ring and other ones aren't. But either way, it was kind of, I think, like, for instance, under Kagan Klein, and I know it's hard probably for you guys to see this. Here, let me just do it like this. Like Kagan Klein here, right? Under 12, the animal word, and what other people, in a sense, fall into that same category. Did I only download one of the pages? I thought it was both of them. Might have to go back there.
I know if we look at the very top one, there's a couple on here that like really stand out to me. And
Yeah.
the top one is one of those. And one of the reasons it really stands out to me is that the person uses Kik and Snapchat. And then also that they use an alias of Brittany Brown when they are, so they were also, no, okay. So this person, this was in 2017, but they were also charged in 2013 for solicitation and the M word, the SAM word, which, oh my, one of the things of going through all this stuff that is unbelievably frustrating is how short and how little the sentences are for these. You will, like, I've seen cases, and I've only gone back to 2017. There are cases from 2020, 2021, where I've looked these people up on my case and they've already gotten out and committed another crime. It doesn't have to be related to CSAM, but still, like, how are you out of jail right now?
Right.
It's ridiculous. Or probation, or no charges. And in one sense, there was one very strange one. I'm hoping that it's a weird glitch in my case and it's not telling the whole story. It was in Montgomery County, and it's one of those that is very similar to Kagan's. And they
Right.
were arrested on May 5th. And it's the only one that I have an affidavit for. And the person completely admits to everything, including talking to actual girls and trying to get CSAM from them. I know you said, I saw you say trigger warning in the chat, and we should have started out with that. But they said they had videos of babies, all like terrible things. On my case, that same person, their case was closed and there are no charges listed on the 9th. They were arrested on the 5th. Case closed on the 9th. How does that happen? I don't know.
It shouldn't. I mean, that's the only way to describe that. It shouldn't happen.
So I kind of went over the very first one. I guess I missed on that very first one that they also use Dropbox. So that one's very similar to Kagan. And and the other thing that's similar about the first one is they were arrested around December 12th of 2017.
Okay.
And a lot of these dates on the left are probably going to be a day or two after the arrest, because I just got those dates off of the articles, and they're usually a day or so late. But it says that they had online chats between May and September 2017, which is also when Kagan was on there. In fact, one of his charges, where he talks to another person, another adult person like him, is in May, and they're talking with girl name aliases. So that's kind of interesting.
Is that in May of 2016 or 2017?
That's too hard to see.
2017. May 2017, and then the tip was in, this is another thing that's kind of frustrating too. So a tip, okay, NCMEC, I cannot remember what that stands for, but it's an organization that works to get justice for victims of this, and you can call in anonymous tips and things like that. But they also, I believe, have kind of like partnerships with tech companies. So like Google, if you were to send a CSAM media of some sort through Gmail, they have things that are supposed to try to flag it, and then it notifies like the police or somebody, and that's how they catch a lot of these people. So
It's
that
the
tip,
it's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
oh, thank you. I probably should have known that, but so that tip went in November 2016. This person wasn't arrested until December 2017, which that's 13 months. And in the article, it talks about them having chats from May to September of 2017. So you have to think about, like, that's, I know there's probably more than what's in the article, but the stuff that they were originally tipped off about was the year prior to that. So it's probably the same as it was with Kagan, where they have all this evidence of these different crimes, yet he's only charged with, a few in relation.
Right.
So another one, and I don't like to think that, how people get there, like, how could a woman do that to kids? Well, I mean, like, I know there's like the maternal instinct, but I don't know. It's harder for me to see them differently. I can agree that women tend to be less likely to perpetrate these crimes, but I don't think the ability is any different. But there's one woman on here, and she is one of the worst on here, actually.
Right. She's the third one down.
Yeah, the third one down, and she used, let's see, this was in January. She was arrested in January of 2019, and her name is Rosalind B. Burkhart. I guess we don't care if we say names.
Yeah.
Well, they are convicted. I mean, they are accused, of CSAM. So
Yeah.
I don't feel guilty about that.
I'm good with that. So there was tips several months prior to them coming in investigating her. She used Kik and Facebook Messenger, and she had aggravated charges because she had CSAM of under 12, of animals, and of using force and such to force people to do things. And she used her, who I assume is her husband, could be like a boyfriend that she lived with, I'm not sure. She used their social media to download it and then send it to her phone, which is, you want to talk about a not very nice person. I don't know why you would do that. And then the fourth one on here, James Crouch, they were arrested in May of 2020. So that's getting closer to where, actually that's the one before Kegan on the list. Their tip was put in January of 2020, so 5 months before. And I don't know if there's any techie people who are listening right now. Is Mega a common cloud storage app that people use? Because there's two on here that use Mega, and I've never heard of Mega before. But this person uses Snapchat, and then they also use Dropbox and Mega. And how it typically goes is that these people connect, they chat online, but since there's these things that can identify CSAM and flag it, they tend to send links through Dropbox instead. So they're not able to do that. So they send Dropbox links back and forth, and then I guess they probably think that they're a little bit anonymous that way, even though it's not quite. But this one says that this person had been obtaining CSAM since November of 2019, and they also had people who were younger than 12. So the next one's Kagan. We're very familiar with him. And He shares a lot in common with quite a few of these, which is why, we're talking about it. Another interesting two actually, is let's see which one. It's like the sixth one down, I think. And it happened in March of 2021. This man's name is James D. Rippey. He lived in Tipton, in the county of Tipton. And he was an older man. I want to say he was 67. He was caught because he took his computer to get worked on at Best Buy and apparently forgot that he had stuff on his computer. So I don't have well, I guess I do. He also had aggravated charges that included under 12 and animals. But what was interesting about him is that apparently who I believe is his son, probably. I haven't actually confirmed that through the way I normally do, but they have the same name. So it looks like it was his son named after him. That's how they found him, through his dad while they were investigating. So he was, let's see. Oh, I don't have a date there.
And a lot of people in chat should be familiar with the Rippey name, because
oh yes, I forgot
we
about that.
discussed it pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, so his son is the Rippey I think he went by Dusty, even though his name was James.
Yeah.
In Peru. So the way they found that guy is his dad got caught, and they found him through there. And he also had the under 12. Actually, I'm assuming he has the under 12 in the animal thing, just because it was from his dad, and his dad had it, and he also has aggravated charges, but it didn't actually mention it in the article. And what's interesting about him too is that Homeland Security was involved in that one. And okay, here's a very frustrating thing. I'm going to use that word a lot. I apparently forgot the date, but it was I think in May of 2021. That was that's like a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Since then, these are all separate charges on separate dates. He has been charged with battery, theft, trespassing, and driving while suspended.
He's a real winner.
Why is he out?
So let's just remind people. So Callista Schatz is the one that lived across from Tony Kline. That's the one that did the interview. She has definitely alcoholic issues going on, that lady, for sure. That has no real bearing on there. I remember looking her up, and she's obviously living a lifestyle of addiction. But so her daughter, I think it is her daughter, and it was actually very confusing, because Licorice Shots and Dusty Rippey's name were shown for the one address that was over near Peru somewhere, or it was somewhere near Peru. It's been a long time, actually. But anyways, so Rippey's association is as close as is of course being with the daughter or whatever of the Schatz, Callista Schatz, who of course Callista Schatz is Tony's friend and neighbor. And Callista Schatz would be on like Tony Kline's Facebook. He was on her Facebook friends and stuff like that. So that one's close to home. That's probably the closest one that we know of to be, like, we can't say for sure, but it's probably well within reason to believe, I mean, small towns. I mean, so, but we can't say that for sure, because there's no proof for sure that he was part of
never know for sure, even after the trial and everything.
Mel's in the house. Hey, Mel.
Hey, Mel.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead, Ivy.
Let's see. In April, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. It's either Vic.
I can't really show it to you.
Wheel or Whale. It's Weil. And
where are you on this? Because
it's April 13th, 2021.
April. Okay, so just trying to April. Is it this one? I just keep talking though. Go ahead.
Okay, it's Weil. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he
Okay.
he doesn't have as many things that are similar for the things I was looking for. And actually, he ended it. I think he was older too. I want to say he might have been in his 60s, if I remember correctly. He actually was charged with misconduct. I don't think he had CSAM. He had relations with a 15-year-old, and but the investigation to him led to Matthew Riddle, who was, let's see where he's at. It was 3 months later that he was arrested, and he was arrested for possession of CSAM and also, unfortunately, having relations with people he should not be. And well, I don't know how much I should go into details since they're just kind of depressing, but his was multiple children at his home over a period of 6 years. So people who should have been able to trust him. And then the one right above Matthew D. Riddle, which is it's 5/6/21. His name is Dustin Nathaniel O'Neill. And that's the one I was talking about earlier, who was
Above them?
he was arrested and charged, and they searched his house on, I think it was the 5th of May. He went to jail. We have the affidavit where he confesses to everything and tells them more. And then the case is closed by the 9th, is what my case says. I might check up on that because that just like blows my mind. But yeah. So that person is also extremely similar to Kagan. He used Kik, he used Dropbox and Mega. He had under 12, and he had animals, which he says was his favorite type.
Oh,
And he said that he kind of talked about sharing. He was the one. Well, I guess it's because we had the affidavit. He would share CSAM. I guess Kik had forums. I'm not familiar with Kik.
I'm not either.
I've never used it, but apparently they had forums, and apparently there were CSAM forums. And I want to say the way he got caught is that he was sharing them to different forums, and I guess he shared it to a forum he shouldn't have, and he got reported. And he would use Dropbox and Mega to use as links, kind of like we talked about earlier. And then he also admitted to talking to girls, and he said they spoke in German, though, so I'm assuming in a different country, probably Germany. And sent them pictures of him and was trying to get pictures from them. So he kind of talked about that, and it was, I don't know if there's a way we could make that affidavit available for the viewers. It's disturbing to read, but it's also interesting in that it's a look into how that stuff works, how they do it, like how they share with each other. So I guess insightful is the word. Then there's, let's see, I don't know much about this Joshua LaForest. He was in July 2021. It just says that he shared CSAM on Kik between December 20th and February 2021. It's so weird. Some of these, like Kegan's, for example, there was such a large amount of time. It was so long in between. And then some of them are like, they got a tip and they did it for 2 months and they had him, arrested. I don't really understand the difference, but let's see if we scroll down.
Ivy, really quick, one thing I know you mentioned earlier about the kind of lapse in some of these, couldn't be related to possibly the C word. And, you brought up a really good point that I thought was interesting about the fact that Kegan was arrested when he was. If you look at what was going on in the country at that time, it is kind of odd that, there was kind of a lull in a lot of arrests and CSAM and things like that in all cases. But did
I say that when we were live, or did I say that earlier?
You said it earlier.
Okay.
But they went out of their way to arrest Kegan in August of 2020, when we know there was a brand new variant of the C word that came out. So I did find that really interesting when you brought that up earlier.
Yeah, so what he's talking about, and again, these aren't all the cases. This is just me Googling different phrases. But in that, I only, if we remove Kagan, I only have one other case on here from 2020. So I just kind of mentioned earlier, because it stood out to me that it's interesting when there wasn't that many arrests, that out of all that time, all the time that they waited to arrest him, they arrested him in the middle of 2020.
Right.
So that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I found that interesting as well.
Let's see. I don't want to read all of these. Oh, here's let's see. That's 2022. I thought there was one more in between here. Another thing that's interesting, let me go back up and see this. A lot of these counties, like what Marion County, I think, is Indianapolis, like that county's gonna have a lot of people, I imagine. But then there's other counties that like don't have that many. Like what county was it? It wasn't maybe it was Montgomery. I can't remember. I think it had like 9,000 people in it altogether or something like that. And there was like 3 of them on this list. The like per capita is ridiculous. So Montgomery, Whitley is another one that has quite a few. Oh my gosh, Angola. I think that might have been it actually. Angola has like 3 people on here.
Wow.
And I think actually it was Angola. Maybe Angola has 9,000 people in it. And that's in Steuben County. And then there's several Boone counties. And let's see. Those look like the ones that are mentioned the most, but it's just interesting how they're kind of very focused in certain places. And then you wonder, like, is that because there's just more of those people there? Or did they find those people? Did it start out with one case and then kind of spiderweb out? Let's see. Here's somebody who, Jared, I haven't looked at his in a long time. That's one of the first ones I did. It was in December of 2021. Jared Dinneman in Zionsville. And he was awaiting trial for a previous CSAM case when he was arrested for another one.
Couldn't help himself.
Nope, and he worked at a kennel. I also had that notice considering our what we're looking at. Oh, here's a couple of ones that are a little bit different than the ones I've been talking about. Let's see. August of 2021, Zachary Pfeiffer. He was in Pleasant Lake, which is in Steuben County, and he had an NC, is it NCMEC? I think that's what people actually say, NCMEC tip. That's what I'm going to say. But then he was also ID'd by a task force in Ohio. So there was like 2 separate things that were identifying him in the Ohio one, even though Ohio's next door to Indiana or something like that, not very far away. It's still out of state, so sometimes it can happen like that too. And there's one other one on here. Actually, I'm not sure if I included it on here or not. Oh, yes, I did. James Lee Browning. So James Lee Browning was in a town that I don't know how to pronounce. Churubusco? I don't know. Churubusco? I don't know. Who knows? It's in Whitley County. So there was a sting operation in Texas in let's see, where's the name of it? It started with a C. I can't think of what the town is now, but there was a sting operation in Texas, and they played like they were girls online. No, women online, maybe. I can't remember. But either way, they got this guy. He talked about the word where you have relations with family. And talked about how he loved that, and he always wanted to do that with his own family, and that he had essayed very, very young people and sent pictures of a very young person, and sent an additional approximately 2,000 CSAM things over a couple months, and they ended up extraditing him from Indiana, where he lived, to Texas. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last one we'll talk about is one that, and that person I just talked about, they were on multiple social media sites. They didn't say exactly which ones, but they said multiple separate ones. And how they used, or how they sent those CSAM things, they sent them all using like a cloud storage. And again, they didn't specify exactly which one. But, oh, I just remembered, I totally forgot to look these people up. But there's 2 people on here. One was arrested on January 14th of 2022, and the other one was arrested on January 20th of 2022. So there's 6 days in between, and they both have the same last name of Potts. So I'm wondering if they're like brothers or something,
Right.
or I guess maybe father and son. Don't know. But that's an example of where they got a tip from Google where it was flagged in the system. So maybe like through an email or something.
Right.
And
yeah,
that's
one was in Muncie and the other was in Petersburg.
Yes. Do you know if those are close?
I don't honestly know, but I'm sure. I mean, we have plenty of Indiana people in the chat. I'm sure someone can tell us. Well, let me look.
And then this
7.
This Kemple guy, I think he had 3 different tips that came in from that organization, and I want to say they were all in the same month. So they're doing something. And I guess the last 2 people I'll talk about is Christopher Honeycutt. He was from Columbia City. This was in October of 2022, so not very long ago. And the tip for him came in February 2022, so it took, 8 months? And I wish I would have written a better summary. Hold on, let me click my link. He is very young, and I kind of put him on there. I don't want to say I put him on there because his last name, but it did stand out to me. And Sonny said the same thing without me saying anything. And he is very young. He's 19, so he's barely old enough to be an adult. And I think Sonny said that it sounded familiar. Maybe it was.
I've seen the name Honeycutt. You guys know I stalk people's Facebooks and different things when I'm looking for associates to like Richard Allen or Garrett, whatever, Garrett Kirk, doesn't matter. Right. And the Honeycutt name I've seen, because it's certain, like after a while, a lot of names get very repetitive that you see all the time. But Honeycutt was one I remember seeing the name Honeycutt. It's not a very common name, but obviously I'm thinking of honeycombs, and so Honeycutt, I remember just as soon as I seen it, I was like, wait, I've seen that last name Honeycutt on people's friends lists. Usually I use Intellius as my search engine. And usually I always scroll down all their friends' names to see who they're associated with, Cottrell's, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But Honeycutt one stood out to me. So I know I've seen that name within the Peru, Lafayette area or what, like that certain area that we're all looking kind of around. So it's somewhere in there. I know I've seen it not that long ago, actually.
Yeah, let's see. Hold on. What did Mel say?
Where
Ball State is.
I'm gonna stop Cam for once. Oh no, I should have left it 1 second.
This Honeycutt guy, I know that. Well, so I was reading the article that I have on him, and I guess these are 2 separate charges. I'm not really sure the exact difference. One is depicting force, and one is physically resisting. Those are 2 aggravating factors of those, and they're separate. But I know that his have to be serious, even though they don't give very much information besides the fact that there were all of those aggravating forces. Because his bond was $30,000, which is extremely high considering that some people, I've seen at least one person on here get out on their own recognizance. So that's a pretty high bond. You wouldn't think it would be that high. You would think that would be common, but there's an unbelievably low bond. So that had to have been pretty bad. And that was in Whitley County also. So there's quite a few Whitley counties. And the last one on the list, and there's more than these, I skipped over a lot of them, but these are the ones that kind of stood out to me. This was in Angola, and this was also in October 2022. The tip went in July, so it's, what was that? 3 months difference. And he had a Google Drive. And let me pull up. He's the only one that I noted how many charges there were, and there were 15. Oh, he was a professor.
Oh.
And he was Trine University. I've never heard of that. He was 32. It says he was alleged to have uploaded 21 photos showing CSAM of kids younger than 12. And blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Where is it? Hold on, I'm looking for a specific thing. It says he had roughly 100 images. Okay, it says Messer traded images with other individuals so he could build a collection. He also admitted that viewing CSAM was wrong, blah, blah, blah. But he said he was building a collection, and I've seen that wording before. That's not the first time I've seen that. So it sounds like that's a little bit of a... I don't know how else to explain this, but, like, it's pretty common for people to watch that kind of, not with kids, but with adults, watch that kind of stuff. And it's not for collecting. Like, there's no, I'm going to collect it all type of mentality. So that's something that isn't S-word related, but it's, I don't know, it's like, it's a weird other dimension of it, of having a collection.
Right.
It's hard to explain some things without using words. So that's all I have for now. I don't know if I'll actually do it because it would be quite time consuming, but I would like to, maybe if I can find time to do it, request affidavits for these and see how much they actually do have in common. Because like I said, that one that I have is very insightful, because there's really no way for us, quote unquote, normal people to understand what that's like, really, without learning it from something like that.
Right.
So that ends my presentation.
Yeah, I mean, I know, the name, you have Alan Kemple on your list, and I've spoken to Alan Kemple, and he's
really
disgusting.
How did you end up doing that?
I don't want to talk about it, but
okay.
I did, and I had to remove him from a list.
You talking about John Galitko?
What?
Who are you talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, I'm talking about John Galitko, not Alan Kemple.
Yeah,
right.
John Galitko's that hunk of, that is Tony Kline's friend, and his Facebook is disgusting.
I've spoken to him personally, and I'm like,
should I add him to the list also?
Pardon?
Should I add him to the list also?
He should be on it.
Don't know that he's ever had any charges for it, but probably should, I'm sure.
Why did I think Alan Kemple? Maybe it's just I know the name because I've looked the case up. Maybe. Or have I talked to Alan Kemple?
Man, between stuff like this,
I've talked to some creeps.
And I also am, I do like ancestry stuff, and between all of that together, I never know if a name is like one of somebody in my family, an S offender, somebody who's like killed a bunch of people. I don't know. They all get very confused.
Unalived or unalived them. Unalived.
Yeah.
Unalived, I'm sorry. That was, I've done really well until then.
She's learning. Everyone's learning.
Okay.
So I pulled this up because all I have to do is pull up Kagan Klein. So whenever I pull up somebody's name on Intellius, for instance, it will always show the S offenders that are in that area. So in Peru, there's like 12 that they're showing. How up to date it is, it's pretty up to date, but I'm sure there's a few more on there. Like is Kagan Klein on there? So I always find that interesting. Like, for instance, when, what's her name? Oh my goodness. All right. Why can't I think of her name? Anyways, doesn't matter. Her husband, like Barry Morphew. Why can't I think of her name? It's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, when I pull up the area where they live, it was ridiculous the amount of S offenders that are right around there.
It seems to be
And
like that everywhere.
pardon?
It seems to be like that everywhere.
Sadly.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, it's. I mean, of course they're there everywhere, but sometimes in those bigger cities, a little bit, it's like I'm not even kidding you. Almost like every block has one on there, and it's almost like 50 or 60 in this smaller size of like a Peru, and you're like it's really eye opening because I usually when I'm looking at somebody on Intellius, I usually look who because I'm looking as well for then this is during Abby and Libby's case here, obviously with Delphi, but it is always astounding to me. You're looking at these faces of these people that are classified underneath the S offenders, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, most of them have that look that I would call that. You know how when you're kind of homely looking and you know what I mean? There's a certain look that I associate usually. So when I'm looking at pictures, I'm like, yeah, you look like one. Yep.
I wonder if that's because in a city, so like, and I think I've said this before, I'm kind of biased because I'm from a small town. So I kind of like think about small towns like my hometown. We have a lot of churches, but besides that, we've got, an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school, and that's all, but they're all right near each other. And at least while I was growing up, we didn't have a park. So in the city, you've got all these schools, you probably have daycares everywhere, you have parks everywhere, and for most of them, they can't live within a certain distance from there. So that probably excludes a decent amount of cities, areas in the cities that they could live, where in a small town, you don't have that many of those things. So there's probably more, areas that they can live in smaller areas, I would imagine.
I honestly have no clue on the rules of that stuff whatsoever. I have no knowledge of that stuff to be honest.
Usually they can't live within a certain distance of like schools, parks, and
I would
daycares.
hope so, but yeah, what should happen and what does happen are usually two different things. That's pretty much how life goes. What usually happens or how the law should work, just and how it does actually work are two different things. So there's always rules out there, but who knows?
I don't think they're going to register with they might be living there, but they're not going to register their address there.
Yeah,
then they'll just get in trouble.
Yeah. I want to ask Alexa, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I have to say, very good, Ivy. I mean, I'm very impressed. I mean, it's very informative. I mean, it's something that you know it's happening, but it's something that you don't until you don't see it like this in black and white. You don't really realize, what a big problem.
Let me add real quick. I'm sure Alexa was like, what is she? Why is she asking me this? I asked Alexa because at some point I had come across so many of the animal ones. I'm like, is this really like, these specific cases, or is this turning into something like people who are into CSAM tend to also be into the animal stuff, and that's why it's like that. So I asked her, and she said not that she knows of, but I appreciate her answering that because it was a weird question.
No, and sorry I couldn't help because honestly, this is not something I'm too familiar with. But I mean, when you said it, I kind of started doing a little bit of reading because I knew that you had said that you were coming, and and Adam was talking about it. So I was starting, doing a little bit of research, and I was really surprised because I really didn't think they crisscross each other, but it's another world. But I do have to say, so that's one. So very great job, very interesting. And I mean, another thing, the only thing I wanted to know, hold on, I wrote it down. Where is it? I have like 5.
Alexa, give me 1 second while you're looking at something. So you guys, for anyone, so Ivy, like I said, Rose put a lot of time and effort into this. So again, this is the cases. You guys could go check out the different articles regarding this, see all this work that was done. Okay, so it wasn't just a spreadsheet, like this is all the work that goes with it. So if anyone does want a copy of this, you just email me at acrimingshame, unless Ivy has an email address she wants to put out there. If not,
I will not email people back.
Okay,
I know myself.
So you can email us at acrimingshame, of course, at gmail.com. And if somebody does want a copy and wants to look at your research and check it out for themselves. So, because there's a lot of work that went in here, and truly appreciate it. And go ahead, Alexa.
Sorry. No, so one question that I wanted to ask her is, so do you think all these cases might be related? Like, do you think it might be one ring, or do you think it might be like separate rings with the proximity, like the cities and proximities?
I personally don't think that the proximities matter, because it's mostly online. And I know some people will probably disagree with me on that, but because it's all online. So, and I would think that if you know somebody personally, like, and you tend to know people personally who live near you, but outside of that, like, if you meet people online.
Right.
And I would almost I'm trying to put myself kind of like in their shoes, not that it would matter in reality, but I'd almost be kind of like wary of people in my same town. I don't know. I feel like it would make me paranoid that they were close if I was meeting somebody online to share with. But when I started this, I was like, oh my gosh, these have to be connected. And when I started today to put them in the spreadsheet, after I got them all in and looked at them, I still feel like there are connections there, but I'm not as confident that there are as many as I thought. Now that they're down on, easily seen. So I'm not really sure.
And what made you, I know you spoke about it briefly, but what really made you look into this?
It was Kegan, definitely. And I think it was the part where they just said that there were so many, it was like, what did they say, the biggest ring in the state that they had found? And I just started Googling to see if I could find ones that seemed like they would be a product of that. And then that's when I saw the animal thing in several of them. And I was like, and then ADHD brain went from there.
Squirrel.
As my boyfriend always tells me, if I could only use it for good.
What I put up on screen there is basically what it is saying is that the iPhone was named Kegi and was utilized by the user on approximately the 5th of the 23rd of 2015. Kegan would have been 20 years old at the time. This device was secured with a PIN code. There were numerous usernames and emails located on the. If only someone had an unredacted version of this, eh? I've never seen one. Has anyone ever seen an unredacted version of the affidavit? Kyle says that you're supposed to give out the candy. Sunny's the teacher. She's supposed to. Oh, I'm supposed to give out the candy.
Yeah, I told him when I was in college and we did presentations, the presenters would always bring candy because the class would usually grade you, and that means you would get an A because you would bring candy. So we always had candy.
I like candy.
I can't have. Whenever somebody says candy, for me, I think of the Adam Walsh story. That's exactly how he was lured. And so because
that's the stereotypical American culture, I guess, the white van with the candy.
Yeah.
You're a child of the 80s.
And that's totally exactly. And it was, and whenever you see a van like that now, you can't help but call it the PEDO.
Yeah, and I don't know. I have mixed feelings because I understand why, but one thing that has led to that's not very good is we think that we can, I guess this goes for like unalivers and stuff too. We think we can recognize them by the way they look, and you can't. And especially when it comes to children, it's people they know. It's not strangers.
Yeah. The internet has changed that a little bit, but throughout history, that's been the overwhelming biggest threat is people in your immediate circle.
Yeah. So we teach our kids about stranger danger, but we don't do the same about people they know.
Right. And now, sadly, now when I see a white van, I just assume it's like a YouTuber that's living the van life.
Yeah. in different type of white vans. Yeah. So a lot of the pictures, some of the 27 images were geolocated in Indiana cities, including Bunker Hill, Galveston, Indianapolis, Kokomo, Monterey, and Royal Center. I can't help it. Whenever I was looking at people and, stalking their Facebooks, Royal Center was one. Some of those ones would strike me, it's,
And those were the girls he talked to, right?
yeah, it was, yes. Mm-hmm. Approximately 27 of the still images depicted females who appeared to be at least 14 years of age or older. Mm-hmm.
Which is that's why I think he had some of them dropped. I think for some of them it was going to be very hard to prove their age.
Right.
Well,
that.
I was going to say, because it says there was no chat conversations from Skype or Kick Messenger recovered from that device, meaning the Apple iPhone 3G. That had evidentiary value. Multiple still images depicting females, unclothed or whatever you want to call it, and or performing essay on themselves were found. The ages of the females were intermediate. I guess it's called intermediate. How do you say that?
Indeterminable?
Nope. You guys, someone help me. Alexa.
Indeterminate.
Indeterminate. Okay, sorry. I don't know why I was staggering over that one. I was like, it just wasn't coming off the lips. Multiple users identified the receiver as Kegan. The user saved over 200 still images to this device, which contained location data that was embedded into the file. And then, of course, it went in to say about what I just read prior to that.
For the girls, my question would be whether he would actually go through with it or not. I wonder if he at least planned on meeting them, like if he had that in his head that he would befriend them, talk to them, and then meet them somewhere.
He didn't meet them. He didn't like to meet them.
I mean, not that he did it, but like if that's what he was thinking when he originally, whether he like followed through or not.
Kegan reminds me of that chunk boy that sits at home. He's pretending to be somebody else, and in his mind, in his head, you know how it's almost like he's probably pretending like he's a, like Rico Suave type of person, and he's playing every part of it. But obviously, no one wants to meet him because they're looking at an Anthony Shots account.
Well, I'm not sure if he'd go, like if he actually got, I know this is probably controversial. If we take the whole Libby thing out,
yeah,
if he had the opportunity, I'm not sure if he'd follow through with it. Like it's what, like kind of like you were saying, like thinking it in his head, but like when it came down to it, I don't know if he could go.
No. I think he mostly always said, no, I wouldn't meet people. But remember, he did meet that one person, obviously, because remember the one person that.
Did they have like a mutual friend or something?
Well, I can't,
I can't remember.
Is that the one that they said that they would, the father said that he would, cut the.
Yeah. And, like Allie. Okay, so Allie is the girlfriend that they speak of when they're talking about, like that's the girl he was living with. I wonder always how much she knows. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because Kegan and her were good friends, and if anyone finds pictures, so those two lived together, and that's where the devices were that they retrieved was with Allie. Now, this was after Allie, meaning the whole, this is 2015 and whatever, And I think that there was another supposed girlfriend. I can't think of who that was anymore. It's kind of like, how you go through these spurts in these cases, and at 1 minute you're looking at all this stuff with Kagan Klein, and then over the months you've moved on, and then that stuff becomes like a blur.
I took a break and like all of my information fell out of my head.
It happens.
100%.
Oh, I mean, I've been there where my head is literally went combust from all the information that it's like you get to a point where all of a sudden your brain just literally goes pew, 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 get out of like, and it's almost like it starts crashing on you like a computer. And you're like, go ahead.
And after the Richard Allen arrest, so much of my Kline information just went because we went a few weeks without really discussing a lot of stuff, and it's amazing how much of it just kind of like tumbled out of my brain. I find myself picking stuff back up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've forgotten about that.
I know, me same.
Especially from that affidavit, from that interview, and you guys are experts. Like I'm not even a quarter of what you guys are, and me too. I had to go back and reread it.
Alexa, it's one of those things is that you almost have to keep going back to reread it to go back to things because again, things move on. Different things are happening. Richard Allen stuff happened and stuff like that. Then you start working again on the connections, and then that interview becomes distant, and it's almost like, what did he say in that thing again?
And when new information comes out, I mean, we have literally 3 days until 6 years of information that you have to then place the new information into to look at where it fits, because you never know where something fits with information we already had with new information that's given. I mean, look at how far the case changed in 2019 or 2021 2021 when the Anthony Shots information came out. I mean, the entire case took a 180 degree turn at that point. And now we've kind of taken another 180 degree turn, and we're like, where do they fit together?
Yeah. Diamond Eyes, I'm not sure if you're talking about Allie. Can't remember how old she was. I'd have to go back. She was younger.
His girlfriend?
Yeah.
I believe at the time of his arrest, she was,
I think she was in her 20s, early 20s.
Yeah, very early 20s, though, because she was young. Yeah. It was uncomfortable to some of his family how young she was.
And
but not illegal.
And that's Kegan's, right?
Yes.
So if he was friends with her prior, then,
Hold on. Yeah, there was somebody prior that was younger than him, whether it was Allie or not. There was somebody that he was with, and it was almost like, yeah, but we were just friends type of thing. And I think it was Allie. Actually.
It was the ski mask girl's cousin.
Right. But I'm trying to remember. See, it's one of those things, like I said at the time.
And Big talk to.
Right. Mm-hmm. We never did ever. I would really love to know about that ski mask incident. When there's something that's just a thorn in your butt, and that the Klines, meaning that the Klines lived near the two incidents that happened in 2010, I believe it was. There's something to be said, and it may not, but how it's just like, again, like 2 ski mask incidents happen. The Klines live right there, and then one happens a week after the girls, and you're just like,
I'd also still like to know what they got off of his Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to think about the ski mask incident. I don't know. I don't know what I want to say.
Well, let me ask this: how many people, after all the information's coming out, still think that well, I mean, I've asked this many times, really, that Kagan Klein is connected to Abby and Libby.
Well, we know he is because of the Anthony Shots.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Is he related to Richard? I mean, is he connected to Richard Allen?
Well, that's the
$1 million question.
That's $1 million question. Right?
You're asking, is he involved in the unaliving?
It just always seems so weird when I'm looking around at people, and then I'm looking at that person that has the same address, named Elisa Land or whatever, and she has the same address as Richard Allen. And then I look up her, and I look up some of the places she lived, and then I look at the people around it, and then I see an Emily Ann Brummett. Okay, so the Brummets the Brummett is a household that that he refers to. Remember in the affidavit is the Brummets. And so there's 2 sets of Brummets. There's the Brummets of Delphi with 1 T, and then there's the Brummets of over in Peru or old America, young America, that are 2 T's. Okay. Now the 2 T one is the one that he says I can just go over there anytime. Why would I look up the address? I would have no need. And then the police interrogator says, yeah, but they didn't know you as Anthony Schatz, right? They know you as Kagan Klein. He's like, well, no, they don't know me. Because he was, that account Anthony Schatz was talking, which he knows her, to the, to the Anthony Schatz account, and of course that person is a friend of Libby's. But what confused me was this about that, and it's not to throw Becky underneath the bus on this one, but she said that Libby knows these Brummets, but she doesn't know the other Brummets, and yet there's a clear picture of that other Brummet and Libby and another girl in a car.
Absolutely. I sent it to Becky.
Yeah. So I was like, so maybe, I don't know if Becky didn't realize that, because lots of times I think that Becky's telling the truth. Is just that what she knows and just like,
my
Anna
mom didn't know like every person I knew.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
It just depends on if, when she was told, and like, I guess now that she's seen that picture, it depends on when she's asked next time.
Well, I mean, she answered me after she saw the picture as well, but that's fine, but she also, because of what we know from the affidavit, knows where that sleepover took place. So,
what's this?
Maybe she just doesn't want to, maybe it's something pertinent to the case that she doesn't want the public, that's not our business. So that's why I didn't press her on it.
That's true too. We don't know what's going on in the background.
Right.
Wait,
and listen, at the end of the day, it's not my business. Yeah. So I wasn't going to bother Becky about it.
Oh, okay. Just give me a sec, guys. What are you guys talking about in chat over there? Diamond Eyes. Tony says Diamond Eyes. Miracle Hearts 2 months.
Tony has Tony said, did you guys see the new Idaho suspect?
Suspect?
Yeah, and I have not. No. I heard about it, but no.
Like a legit one, or like?
I don't think so. Did you also hear that someone's theorizing that flannel shirt guy has a ranch near where 2 girls were unalived in Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sent that today.
Tony, you're talking about Adelphi?
I feel bad for every man that lives in that county. I would like to state for the record, again, since I don't know if I've ever said it out loud on here, in the live stream at least, Little Shirt Guy was not a witness of BG. He was not.
No.
He never saw him at 247.
No.
Didn't happen.
He talked to Derek German. That's about it. Which is verified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
You guys keep these people are talking about a new suspect. Are you talking about in Idaho or Delphi?
Exactly.
Idaho. That's what he was talking about. Idaho.
Oh. Okay. So hold on. A suspect to go along with. What's that smirk for?
I just don't buy it.
Me either.
Because I know what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about. I just don't see it. But
well, we're gonna probably do a live with Idaho after this for about an hour, perhaps. It's Friday, YOLO. I'll probably start drinking some Captain Morgan here.
Tony,
but we'll get.
I have a Delphi question real quick.
Yeah, let's go back to Delphi.
Land. What did you say her name was?
Alyssa Land.
Okay, let me get my thoughts together. So that was the Allen's house, like the house they live in now, that address?
Yeah. Correct.
So was she related to the people who owned the house prior?
No. It's the Richard Allen Klein's #1 associate, which means that She probably lived there, used that address, one of the two things. So even if she didn't live there, she's definitely a friend. That's, the same age as Kathy, basically. So it strikes me as somebody that used the address and didn't actually live there, but she could have lived there for a time being, helping out a friend or something like that. So I just find it interesting that when I looked at one of the addresses that are, that these names, like here we have like an Emily Ann 45, which we've heard of Emily Ann 45. And they asked Kegan, like, where did you come up with that name? And of course, Kegan says, I just picked it out of my, no idea.
Well, they said in the affidavit it was his stepsister, I think, or something like that.
No. He never said anything about that.
I mean, the police did.
Let
me see.
I'm trying to remember now, but he said that he didn't know where he got that name from, that it was just random. And so now, of course, there's this cousin from the Wilkinson side of that. But I found it interesting that there was an Emily Ann Brummett that was living near that Alyssa Land person. And here I'm seeing the Brummett name and Emily Ann name. And I'm like, what? Like, stop. There's not much to go on with Richard Allen. There's not. And in our heads, we're trying to wrap it like, okay, so there's no, like, for me, there's no way that this is a one-man band here. To me, there's no way. I'm not seeing it in any direction. You know what? For me to be that far off of that, like that intuition, it doesn't even remotely seem realistic. Knowing so many different things that don't make sense to that. Well, the Kagan Klein thing, first of all, this will probably still, to me, intertwine with it all, the CP ring there. But knowing that someone said that an item that was there was so big, and I know that was so big, no way that BG isn't packing that item. I'll tell you that right now. So how did that item get there? When did it get there? Okay. Who else was part of it? I can't see a 45-year-old guy contriving this all of a sudden by himself. There has to be something else to this. Whether he's done anything before. I mean, I think he's part of a dirty ring. I do. I mean, he's that guy that has the wife that he probably dislikes, really, or he probably doesn't get any, and he's sitting there doing all this stuff all day, pretty much. That's what he reminds me of. That he just reminds me of that guy that's, probably, spanking the monkey a lot, and he's getting his kicks from, from a different source, different things, kind of like Kegan. Kegan barely is leaving his room because he's got his whole setup going on there. He's that typical guy sitting on a computer, has no life really, big and hefty, and can't, like insecure, and he's doing the same thing,
I would like to say though that there are plenty of people like both of those descriptions you just gave who don't, all those words that I can't say.
Yeah. The sad thing is that bottom line is that there are a lot that do. Okay. For men, regardless.
There's more that don't, though.
Pardon?
There's more that don't, though. Like the vast majority don't.
Oh, I think you're so wrong on that answer. Absolutely wrong. You think that there's more?
The majority of men are perpetrators of some sort?
Well, I'll say that the majority of men have usually the source of the P word.
Yeah, but that's not a perpetrating
not what you're speaking of there.
That is not what I'm speaking of. I'm saying there's a ton of people who use stuff like that who do whatever, sitting there on their computer, don't do anything.
Right. Yeah,
they don't hurt people.
Yeah, no. Right.
Oh yeah, I definitely think the majority do that.
Yeah. Well, yes. As for being a perpetrator, different story, I mean, when I look at the numbers, it's crazy. You know what? The bottom line is the internet is just an outlet. It is a huge outlet for perpetrators. And sadly, there's a lot of insecure people that need validations that send these pictures off to these perpetrators. And, you know, and they're not even really seeing the consequences of what could happen to them. The fact that these images, and do you know what I mean? They're not. It's kind of like, I feel like Kagan Klein. I don't think Kagan Klein realized just how serious what he was doing was. I think he was getting his rocks off and stuff like that, doing his thing. But I don't.
Like he doesn't even know now. Doesn't
No,
realize
I know.
now.
It's almost like I got this many charges for what? Like, it's almost like it's absurd to him that he's even sitting in jail. Okay, like he probably can think of, okay, maybe I did this, and okay, fine. But I don't think that he equates the seriousness of his actions to what he was doing. And that it was just like a thing that he could do freely at home and do all these things and get pictures and get, underage ones, and not even thinking that he would ever be charged. I don't even think it entered in his mind, to be honest with you. Like maybe once or twice. That's how I take Kegan first. That he just. I don't think a lot of people understand the consequences of that stuff. To be honest, at the younger ages, I don't think that they even understand like what they're doing can constitute years. In the jail system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts? It's mine.
Well, I mean, I don't want to out myself, but when you're young, stuff like that doesn't seem as bad. Like, I dated plenty of older guys when I was in high school who could have gotten in trouble for that. And looking back now, I'm like, how could somebody... I was doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing, but how could somebody who's 25... That's disgusting. How does a 25-year-old think that it's okay, or even would want to be around the 16-year-old? Like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
But when
I
you're
did Ivy.
it's much different. What?
I did the same thing.
Okay.
And it didn't seem odd to me at the time, but now that I look back at it, I'm like, ew.
Yeah, it's weird.
Sometimes I think about the teachers, the female teachers, and really you're dating a student, and in this day and age it still goes on, and you're like, are you stupid? Are you literally stupid?
That's disgusting, especially like the ones in high school. Like, the kids are underage.
Well,
that is absolutely disgusting.
It just blows me away, the stupidity of it all. And this is where you say you reap what you sow. If you are, first of all, sick enough to want to date someone that's a student of yours and you're this older lady, and secondly,
Or man.
Yeah, or man. But I was thinking of a certain person in my head when I was saying that. But anyways, a couple female teachers, and it just like, it's kind of like someone that commits a crime and pew pew, or and they got. I mean, they're caught and they're done. They got 25 years to whatever in life.
And unfortunately, they're not taken. I don't care what anybody says. A female teacher dating a male student is just as bad as a male teacher dating a female student, but they don't take that seriously a lot of times. And they're like, oh, I wish I had a teacher like that when I was in school. No, that's abuse. That's assault.
Right. And sadly, it's kind of an example of toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
We give them an attaboy instead of you're a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then if they feel victimized, then it's embarrassing.
Yeah. And that also, they're taking advantage of somebody that, that are not stable, because they're taking advantage of them because they know that they're not emotionally stable. Mm-hmm. And that's why older men or older women are able to take.
Even if they were the same age, it's a power differential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear a kitty cat.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're gonna get ready to end this particular live, because we are going to do one in Idaho in like about half an hour.
I don't know much about that one, so I'll.
Oh no! Wait, no.
Eat.
I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I was going to say, Ivy. I just want to thank you for compiling so much information. I personally have about 50 or 60 other cases. If you'd like, behind the scenes, we can work sometime, and I can help add to your list.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
Just from from ones that I've come across and ones that people have sent me.
Yeah. Sorry about the cat yelling.
No, we all love animals here, and not the way we've been talking about tonight.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and I want to say again, if anyone wants that list that I just showed you on my email.
When I get off here, I'm going to see if I can, because I have it saved on my Google Drive. I'm going to see if there's a way that I can make it public, and then I can send you that link, and maybe put the link in like the description, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let me know if you can do that. Sure.
Okay.
Will do. But Ivy, thank you so much for all your time and work on this. And again, it's one of those things is that who knows where they all connect, but we do know that there's the biggest Indiana CSAM around because of the Kagan Klein phone. I'm sure that a lot of them are going to fall into this, to be honest with you. But we just will probably never know.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, who knows? On there.
Right. Well, I will
thank you.
talk with you guys later.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Great job.
Thank you, Ivy.
Thanks, Ivy. Yeah.
I love Ivy. I love Ivy.
Ivy, that's not what he says when we're off camera. You know that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of behind the scenes conversations with Ivy, and I just adore her. I always have. Yeah.
I've always just I've always just seen her cute little butterfly avatar, and like I said, I'm pretty sure Ivy is from, I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure she was from the Suzanne Morphew case. Pretty sure. Because that's why I think I remember her, is because of that. Ivy, was that why? Alexa, did you have anything else to add to this?
Nope, that's it. Just interesting. I mean, like I said, I learned so much. Like I said, that's going on, but I wasn't aware that. I thought, obviously, it's bad, but I didn't realize it was as bad. So
yeah,
Alexa, you look so good in green.
Hey,
thank you.
You know what? You just butted right on in there when I was going to say that again. Butted right on in there, you fellow Cancer person.
Well, honestly, I did it on purpose because I had like a crappy day today, so I was like, oh, I feel like this, so I needed something today.
You look like you're soft and cozy.
Yeah,
you look gorgeous. Both of you do. Actually, both of you do.
Thank you. Such a liar to me. I got my fortunes going on right now. But anyways, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go create a thumbnail for an item. No, sorry, Adam and I both created, right, Adam? And I just said, well, we'll wait to see this one here, and then we'll decide what time it is, and if we'll do another one. But you know what? YOLO Friday. Grab your drinks, you guys. Come back. We'll probably do it in about what?
Alexa is smoky. I can't lie.
Tony. Tony.
You're getting love from New Zealand now, Alexa.
I'll send the checks, okay? Next week. When I get paid, I'll send the checks.
And I'm wearing an 80s t-shirt apparently. Thank you, Cian. Oh wait, Fibro, thank you.
I had a dress that looked like that, kind of those colors, exact colors.
It's like an MTV/jail shirt.
Oh, I was told that I look like I got my dress from a thrift store by my cousin. And he doesn't realize it, but I never forgot that comment because I thought it was such a rude comment.
I bought this at Urban Outfitters, so that kind of fits.
Uh-oh, time to go. Guess who's here? Yeah. I've laid quite a few of those today, by the way, Doodle. You're welcome.
Time to go.
Time to go. Yeah. Okay. So, Adam, what do you figure? You figure 9:30 my time?
Yeah, 30 minutes from now, we can be ready. Gives me time to eat something, and we can be on.
All right. So if you guys want to join us again, then come back with your drinks and have some,
And we're going to talk Idaho.
Wait. We're going to talk Idaho. Yeah.
Idaho.
Or Idaho. Maybe Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got to make fun of JLR again today, don't we?
Live in Times Square.
I couldn't go. I mean, I told her I should have went.
It was a video, wasn't it?
No, he was live.
He was live. I had to go and see it.
He was live, but I only caught it when there was
Find a Times Square background and do it for our next live, so it looks like you're in Times Square.
Yeah, right. Live in Times Square. But I'm not going to lie, whenever somebody does a live in a public place, I'm always looking around to see who's looking at him or people in general. because it's, like, would you guys feel comfortable walking around with a phone going, or sitting down in a McDonald's and going, like, hey, this is Jill Laura coming live from
I mean, with the type of cases that we discussed, probably not.
Well, I did it after the Elton John concert, and I had a homeless guy that was raking the rocks all around me, and I'm like,
yeah. Right press on the hat. Right. I know, Adam, just get out your white highlighter or white, like a white, whatever, pen eraser or, that stuff, and put press on it. What's that?
Whiteout?
Whiteout. Thank you. Okay, you guys. So see you back here in a bit. If you're up for it, if not, then we won't.
Have a good night. Thank you for having me. See you guys in the
Thank
chat.
you, Alexa.
Thanks,
you,
Alexa. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.
Don't forget to hit the like, guys. Yeah.